What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. The NBA season just ended, and I already feel like we're on to the next season. Like, I feel like nobody's going to be here to enjoy the Celtics winning the championship whatsoever. It's already Pascal Siakam got signed. Alex Caruso just got traded. I had two other videos I was going to do today, and then Alex Caruso got traded. Go watch that video if you haven't already. But we still have the NBA draft coming up, too. I'm like, there's no offseason at this point. There just is no offseason, and honestly, I'm here for it. I love the NBA. But look, this is probably the last mock draft that I'm going to do before I actually go and do my own mock draft, and I give you guys my actual big board that I use for like my actual job and everything. So I know a lot of people have been requesting it, so I figure I'll actually share it with you guys. I'm not going to share it in like the actual document form because that has confidential information, but I'll make one on Fanspo or something. But hey, just a quick reminder to make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment to my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. And by the way, I've got a new comment policy as well that I'm trying to implement. If you got brought to this point on my YouTube video, it means that I hit you with an objection. An objection means that I don't really like the way you commented. It was either really unnecessarily mean, or you just kind of threw like a negative thought into the air and just let it exist in the ether. And that's not what I want my community to be about. I want it to be a place where we can actually talk and learn from each other. I think that's the best way for anybody to grow as a person, is to have conversations with people. If you disagree with people, disagree with people. That's totally fine. Let's just make sure we do it in an intelligent and gentle way, all right? Doesn't have to be anything all that serious. But anyway, on to the video. Alrighty, last mock draft from Bleacher Report before we get to the actual draft. At least I think so. I don't think I'm going to be covering any more of them. If I do, then fair enough. These things tend to get a decent amount of views. By the way, side note, I like these Kentucky uniforms. I think they're really, really cool. They kind of remind me of those old NBA Christmas jerseys from some years ago. But okay, let's make a prediction. I think it's, at this point, we're saying it's Rees-Shea, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Atlanta Hawks, Zachary Rees-Shea. So, interesting stuff, right? Because I've been saying for the longest time, I think Sarr makes the most sense and everything. But I've also been saying it this way, right? I'm like, I see Sarr and Rees-Shea is pretty much equivalents in terms of like talent and where I think they could be. The reason I give the edge to Sarr is literally just because it's harder to find 7-footers. That's really the only difference. I think they're valuable in their own ways in anything or in everything, but I gave Sarr the advantage always. But it seems they have had their decision made for him, because Sarr's like, I'm just not going to work out for you guys. I'm just not going to do it. I don't actually know why that is or anything, so I'm sure he has his reasons for why he's doing what he's doing, but I guess that means that Rees-Shea is going to probably get to be the number one pick. If it's not, then I'll just, who knows. But with this draft class, maybe we get an Anthony Bennett type thing where somebody like Cody Williams moves all the way up to number one or something. But anyway, Rees-Shea at this point, for those of you that don't know, great catch and shoot player, nice defender, sees the court really well. Like, I think he's going to be an instant starter, kind of impact player in the NBA. And I still see him growing into his body a lot just from like all the film I've seen of him at this point. I think he's really still growing into himself, and I think he's going to get more coordinated, a lot stronger, things like that. All of his mechanics are really good. He's just got a great feel for the game. Again, I'll say with this class, the star potential just really doesn't seem obviously there. Look, somebody's going to be, like, at the end of the day, somebody will be. Somebody always is. There always is somebody that we don't see coming, and that's fine. Like, that's just the game, right? Sometimes the fit just, like, wasn't there wherever they were at before, and they figure it out. I'm not saying there's, like, a ton of, like, all-star potential in Rees-Shea, but I think that he's going to be a nice player, and I think if you develop him correctly, you could just get a good NBA player out of him. So I don't think you could be mad if you were the Hawks and you ended up with him. All right, I presume this one's pretty simple. Yeah, Washington Wizards, Alex Sarr. All the things that we normally say about Sarr, right? And first of all, if the Wizards get Alex Sarr, I think that's perfect, because I think they obviously have more of a need at the center. So I think them ending up with Sarr would be absolutely phenomenal for them. You're going to get an instant impact defensive guy, not only on the perimeter, but especially down low. Like, we've seen him rotate from like all the way from like the top of the key and everything all the way down to block shots up to this point. He's got a great feel for the game. He's really athletic. He turns his feet really well, can get out and run. The three-point shot doesn't look bad, so hopefully he can develop into something there. And it's the motor. The motor's so high on him. And when you got a big man with a big motor, like, the sky's the limit, especially when you have this kind of like athletic talent and stuff. I really like him as a prospect. Again, I'm not sure I see like all-star potential, but I see good NBA starter like right away that could be in the NBA for a long time. So I would like to see Alex Sarr here for Washington. This is where it gets interesting now. Yeah, Houston Rockets. Okay, so we're going to have the same conversation that we always do when it comes to this. My perspective on Reed Shepherd hasn't really changed all that much. Do I think that Reed Shepherd's probably the best fit out of everybody left for Houston? Yeah, like almost certainly. That's never been a question. I just don't think it makes sense for here. And let's be honest, like, we all know for a fact that Houston is trying to ship this pick. They don't need any more young players on the team. They just don't. I know some of you Rockets fans have fallen in love with the idea of this guy. Like, I can tell you from a developmental standpoint and having been player development, it's just, nope, it's not. You don't want that many on a team. You just don't. There's just not enough surefire guys like in this draft class, and Reed Shepherd is not a surefire prospect by any means. I'm not sure there really like is in this class necessarily. I think Klingon for what he's gonna be is probably pretty surefire. That's my opinion at least, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, it makes more sense to trade the pick, get you an asset to help you win right now, and support all the good young players you already have on the team, and just kind of go from there. That's at least my perspective. But what is Reed Shepherd going to be? I don't know, because like I see him as like a small 2 is my problem. I don't see him being a point guard. Yes, he sees the court pretty well, but it's like he doesn't really create off the dribble or anything like that. So that's a little concerning for me. I know his defensive stats are good. Those really don't translate to the NBA all that well. It's at least not a good like predeterminate or anything like that. It just hasn't been. It hasn't been historically. So I worry about like who he's going to guard and things like that. But let's get one thing straight. The dude can shoot the shit out of the basketball, and that usually translates no matter what level you're at, right? So like if you just got Reed running off some screens and shit like that and chucking threes, boom, sounds great to me, right? All the other things are going to probably be a little bit of a concern. Comes off the bench early in his rookie career, totally fine. Give him a chance to try to develop into a Kirk Heinrich maybe type player. Then yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I'm not taking him 3, and Houston's going to try to trade the pick. And you know what? We'll touch on one other thing. It's not easy for Houston to trade this pick either, and here's why. Because picks like 4 through 11, the prospects that are supposed to fall in there, they're basically like equivalents of each other, kind of like I said with like Risache and Sar, right? Like there's not enough differentiation for teams to like really want to give up much to like move up in the draft. And that makes a ton of sense, right? That's just like basic economics. It's like, well, like, yeah, whatever I get with the 8th pick is like the same value as the 3rd, so why would I want to move up? It's really just I want to go get my guy instead and ensure of it. So like moving from like 9 to 3 might just be giving up like a role player. Like, in all honesty, that's what it is. But honestly, I'd rather, if I was Houston, get that nice role player and then go get someone again with 8 and just kind of go from there, because Reed Shepherd could fall that far, in all honesty. Like, maybe he doesn't make it by Charlotte. I've seen some people saying that Charlotte really likes him. That just sounds like such a Charlotte move, I'm not going to lie. But, you know, is what it is at the end of the day. So who do we got at 4? Stephon Castle. This is who I think is going to go at number 4. I'm not going to lie. I put something in my Discord. You guys should join my Discord, link in the bio or anything. We've been talking a lot of hoops as of late, and I've been sharing some of my inside stories. They're not like anything like too crazy, just things that I feel like I can actually talk about. But Stephon Castle would be, I was going to tell you guys what I was talking about there. I started a conversation about like, I'm like, can we get Donovan Klingon at 4 to the Spurs so that we just have the most protected rim of all time between him and Wemby? It doesn't make like any basketball sense to try to make that happen. I just think it's funny. But Stephon Castle, I think, makes a lot of sense here. I think the Spurs, if they don't find a way to move up to pick 1, because I think that that's the only like real logical play for them to do to try and get themselves in a better position so that they can get Risache. I think he would be a great fit for them. But if they can't do that, I think what they realize is they're like, look, we know we need a point guard. Everyone knows Stephon Castle really isn't a point guard. He's just like, he's portraying himself as that so he can get picked by the Spurs. That's where him and his camp want to go. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just like strategy and everything. That's totally fine. And I think he's going to be a really good basketball player. I've said many times, if he had even an okay jump shot, he's probably the number 1 player in this class. Like, because he's pretty much good at like everything else, it seems like. But I think what the Spurs are going to do is be like, okay, our point guard's not here. Let's go with the best culture fit that we can get and talent and just figure it out after that, right? Like, there's not a problem with just saying, hey, this guy's really talented at basketball. Let's just have him on our team and figure out where he fits later, right? So that's kind of what I think they'll do. Next up, Detroit Pistons, Matas Buzelis. I'll say I've been watching a lot more Buzelis film because I know that the conversation is starting to change a little bit on him. I'm still like not high on him, in all honesty. I don't think his handle is good enough. I'm not sure he's actually going to be able to like create anything for himself in the NBA. I think he could be a nice like floor spacer at the 4. I don't know if he's going to ever be able to necessarily like defend someone like all that well. I don't don't think that his foot speed and everything like that necessarily translates. His frame is like really small. I don't see him filling out a ton. Some of his athletic moves are really interesting. I don't know if I see it in the correct circumstances to where I believe it's going to actually translate to NBA type stuff, just because the G League is so much different than how the NBA plays basketball. I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me in my stomach. If I'm Detroit with this one and I can't trade the 5th pick, because I look at them the same way I look at the Rockets, they just don't need another project. At the end of the day, they need to start winning basketball games and develop the players they have. Like, they need to start doing that. They have an elite player in Cade Cunningham. I've seen enough of Cade to know that guy is elite. And they need to start putting a competent team around him so that he can start to do something. Because right now they're just wasting it. But if they're not, I just take Klingon and move Duren. Like, I like Duren a lot. I really like Duren. But like, I'd rather just trade Duren then and go get some sort of like more proven player or something like that. A lot of people would want Duren. There's no doubt about that. I guarantee you if you put Duren on any other team, he's going to be like really, really good, unless it's like Washington or something like that. Sorry, Washington. I know y'all are catching strays and stuff like that, but that would be my move. Number 6, Donovan Klingon. Okay, so basically just take what I said with the Pistons there and replace it with Charlotte for this one. Except in this case, like, okay, we don't need Mark Williams anymore because we got Donovan Klingon. Fair enough. I think Donovan Klingon is probably the most like NBA ready prospect that there is at this point. I think he's instantly going to be one of the best defensive players in basketball. I think he's really, really smart. I think he's a day one starter that you can plug in. He's going to have a nice impact. I think developmentally he could turn into a guy that could be a hub, because I think he's just a really smart player. I know how they coach him there at UConn. Really, really, really good what they do over there, and that's not like an intelligent thing for me to say necessarily. We all see that, but just from like a pro's lens and everything, you look at what they do and you're like, yeah, no, they know what the fuck they're doing on that basketball court. And so I really, really like Klingon. I'm kind of hoping that now that the Bulls, I'm a Bulls fan for those of you that don't know, like now that they've moved Caruso, and it's presumably like a reasonable person says that they're selling all their assets right now, right? If the Bulls can move up to like 3 with Houston, give them something that they want so that they can go get Donovan Klingon, I'd feel really, really good about that right now. Let's hope it happens. Portland Trailblazers, Cody Williams. Let's not overthink this one. Can we just put Dalton Connect there and just kind of like not think about it? Like, we need to, I've said this a lot of times, the Portland Trailblazers need to actually build around a good young player that they have for once. Like, just do it correctly. Don't overthink it. Put Dalton Connect there. I know he doesn't have like as high of a ceiling or anything like that. Just put players around Scoot Henderson that will help Scoot Henderson get better right now. Because if you're putting guys like Cody Williams around him, who like Cody Williams' best case scenario for his development is he gets to handle the ball like a little bit more. There's too many ball handlers on Portland already. We need floor spacers on the team. I don't like this fit at all. I really don't like this fit, honestly. But I don't mind Cody Williams. I think he's kind of a longer term project, if I'm being honest, just because I think he's got a while to develop still in terms of like his body and everything. I think he sees the game really well. I don't think his form is necessarily all that bad for shooting and things like that. You see him make some really good passes, but I don't know. I just think he's going to take a while to physically really develop. And so I just think you need more time. I don't want to see him on Portland. Next up, San Antonio Spurs, Devin Carter. Yeah, that feels like the second pick for me. I've been saying for a while, I think the older guys in this class are going to keep on moving up the closer that we get to the actual draft, because they're going to look at a lot of these other younger guys and they're going to be like, there's a lot of bust potential in these guys. Let me just go get somebody that's a little bit more proven with a little lower ceiling that I know can contribute like day one. And I think Devin Carter would just be a nice addition to their point guard room. I'm going to assume that the Spurs are probably going to make a big play at like D'Angelo Russell or something like that. That just makes a ton of sense to me. And I think Russell would relish at the fact of trying to get just like a big ass contract for like 2 years and playing with Wemby. I just think that makes a ton of sense. But having Devin Carter and Trey Jones as like reserve point guards, I think are really good. Even if they don't get like a D'Lo, I think Trey Jones is fine to be a starting point guard for another year. I think he's one of the smarter players in the NBA. Throw Devin Carter out there as well, and you just have two smart point guards that are defensive oriented, can run the show a little bit. Yes, they're both like a little bit smaller, but like Carter's like a tough ass dude, man. I've watched him play enough college basketball. That's a tough ass dude. And you just have guys that know how to kind of run an offense and can get the ball to Wemby and stuff like that and kind of operate around him. So I would like this pick. Who's got the 9th pick? That's right, it's the Grizzlies. Ron Holland. This seems like this pick is going to happen at this point, and honestly, I don't hate it at all. Ron Holland needs a lot of development. This is something we keep saying, like he needs to develop. One of the lower IQ players I've seen come in a while, but you look at him physically and you're like, yep, that's an NBA player. Like, I look at him move, I'm like, yep, He's got it all there. He just does not really know what's going on in the basketball court right now. It looks like he's literally only played AAU and G League basketball his whole life and has never really practiced. Like, it's just, there's so many simple reads that he misses, and like, he's just in the wrong space a lot of the time. But like, at the end of the day, he still put up 20 points per game in the G League, which is more so probably like maybe like 16 or something like that in NBA standards, just because a lot more points are scored in the G League. Defense isn't as prominent there. He's just got a lot of things to work on in that sense, and I think Memphis can do that because he'd be in a place where his role is needed, so he'll need to play. They need wings on that team, but more so, they've already got Jaren and Desmond Bane and stuff out there to where they're going to attract enough attention. He's a guy that people will sag off from more, and he can start to get easy shots earlier in his career and kind of learn from everybody. I think that'd be a really good situation for him. All right, let me guess. Dalton Knecht, Jazz? Yeah, no. Well, if Dalton Knecht doesn't go to Portland, then sure. I mean, yeah, this is the most logical fit here. Utah just needs wings, right? They just need wings on their team. That's pretty evident. They've got enough guards. They've got enough bigs. They could just use some wings. And I think Utah is in a position where they feel pretty good about just being like, look, we're just trying to compete and bide our time for when the right star becomes available. Because let's be honest, like, nobody's signing with them in free agency. Nobody really even hits free agency anymore and stuff. So like, let's just make sure we constantly have like a good team around so that if the right opportunity presents itself, we can strike, right? And just adding a floor spacer around guys like Keontae George, like Collins, Markkanen, Walker Kessler, all those dudes, I think makes a lot of sense. I think he can be a day one contributor. I think he'll probably be in the NBA for a long time. That's what I like about Knecht. He's got enough size and strength and athleticism to where I think he can be a solid defender, even though in college he wasn't that good. I think you can get it out of him, especially in a franchise like Utah. They're just really well run and usually develop their players pretty soundly. So I would like to see him there. Number 11. Nope. Well, that's just not happening anymore. We're just, look, this article was yesterday, I think, before the Josh Giddey trade, so that's just not going to happen. So let's just talk more so about like Rob Dillingham. I'll say the same things I always say. I don't know who Rob Dillingham is going to guard. We're going to start off with negatives, then we'll go to positives, so don't worry. I don't know who he's going to guard. The shot inconsistency is weird right now, but he's young, makes some bad decisions, takes some bad shots, just maybe not the most polished player right now, but yeah, he's really small, really, really small. I have no idea who he's going to guard in the NBA, but he does have a lot of creation skills already, and if I was to become his like player development guy and I'm supposed to develop him into a good player, I already know how I want to do it, and that is honestly a big part of the puzzle. And so I think you can create a good offensive player with him. I don't know about defensively. You're going to have to really learn how to be a pest and be really smart in doing so, just because here's the thing people don't understand when it comes to size, right? At the end of the day, physics always wins. For perspective, I'm 6'5", like college basketball player guy. I've been dropping weight because I've been cutting and stuff, so I'm about 210 right now. He can be all up in my face as much as I want when I'm trying to dribble, and that's one thing. When the ball starts swinging and I catch and rip and I get a step when he's trying to close out, if I bump him at all, I'm going through him. There's just no way I'm not going through him. Like, people know how to use their weight and their momentum in leagues like this, and so that's what I worry about. But I do think you can turn him into a nice offensive player. So that's what you'd have to look at this as, is hopefully a future spark plug. I don't even remember who's got the 12th pick. Oh, that's right, it's the Thunder. Yeah, this one feels like a pretty safe bet at this point too. Okay, so it's to John Saloon, right? Saloon. I believe that's how you say it. I've been reading a lot of comments about it, so thank you guys for the comments about that and everything. This is one of the guys that I look at that's got, I don't want to call it like star potential, but it's like, I could see how you could develop star-like qualities and stuff. You know, I just don't want to commit to that like too much. He just looks like he could really become something, right? He's got the body where it's a little bit slim right now, but you look at how like broad and wide he is, and just by his frame, you can tell he's going to fill out as soon as he gets in like the gym a little bit more, eats right, gets with all the right people, and he's just young, right? I mean, I think he's one of the youngest guys in the draft. So like by the time you hit like 21 or something like that, and you start to like really fill out, remember how Giannis kind of did? I know there's been a couple of Giannis comparisons with him, but like he's already got so many of the skills down. He can handle a little bit. He's a stupid good athlete, like an 11 out of 10 athlete. He's gone through streaks where he's really hit from three. They haven't looked as good other times. That's fine. He's young. He's inconsistent, right? That's not a big deal. He's not taking like bad shots or anything. But you just look at him and you're like, if you give him the right chance to develop around the right people, Oklahoma City Thunder, then I think it's going to go really, really well. So I think it makes a ton of sense to them to end up with a guy like this. Just imagine like 2 years from now, you've got this like bulky athletic stretch four that can keep putting the ball on the floor next to Chet. That's nasty. Next up, Sacramento Kings, Kel Ware. All right, time for the Kel Ware comments, which by the way, I love it every time I see it. Whenever I see a comment of somebody being like, I would rather my team pick Kel Ware, I just go, I can't disagree with you. He fits everywhere. Like, that's just the perspective of him at this point, because he does like pretty much everything solid, right? It's just like, what skill is he really going to hone in on when he comes to the NBA? And he's one of those guys that I've actually said, I'm like, I think once he develops, he could be a starting NBA center in this class. So I think he's kind of a sleeper in that sense. But you can tell me any team's picking Kel Ware, and I will go, that's a great pick. I love that pick for you guys, because who doesn't need that? Who doesn't want a 7-foot guy that can do all the things he does? Block shots, rebound, play good defense. He can shoot a little bit. He's got good touch around the rim. So I like Kel Ware a lot. I think everybody kind of does at this point. If the Kings pick him and he becomes their new backup center, well, good for you guys. You guys did well. Last pick of the lottery, Portland Trailblazers, Tristan da Silva. At least I kind of understand this one a little bit. I'm personally just not a huge da Silva guy, because like his lack of athleticism is so apparent that it concerns me a little bit what he's going to do on defense. But look, the shot making's real, right? Like the dude can make shots. He's got the size where he can be a stretch big or something. So if that's what we're taking him as, and we just want to have like a spacing stretch 4 that can sometimes cut to the hoop and stuff. And again, when I say cut to the hoop, I don't really know what you do after that unless you're developing some sort of floater or something more so, just because his athleticism is kind of that poor. I don't exactly know what you're going to do, but at least like I kind of understand the fit next to Scoot Henderson, so I don't think it's the worst one you could possibly do. If you were taking Connect first and then this guy, I'd be like, okay, like, yeah, you didn't really take any upside guys, but at least like, you know, you're gonna have some solid players to grow around Scoot. Alrighty, so that's the end of the lottery. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to scroll through and talk about whatever other little players I want, and then some of you are going to get mad at me because I didn't cover your team's pick, and then you'll get a comment, and then I'll hit you with an objection thing or something like that because you're being a little whiny baby. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, there's Nikola Topic. I kind of figured he was next. The mystery man of the draft, a guy that at one point during the season people thought might go number 1 or something like that. Really weird game. Haven't seen enough film to really have a good judgment on it, but every time I've watched him, I'm like, oh, why does it look like it hurts to move? But like you also like are getting to the rim well and stuff, and you see the floor so well, and you play good defense. So again, it's very limited sample size of like how much basketball I've seen this guy play. But obviously we don't know how long he's going to be out for either. We still haven't heard reports from like American doctors as to how long like the injury is going to take to recover from. It could be a whole season. It could be tomorrow, right? We have no clue right now. Him going to the Miami Heat, it could be a great value pick for them as just like, hey, we're going to try to develop this dude, but they're also trying to win now. And so it's kind of, it's tough, right? It's really tough, but Topic is interesting nonetheless. This is my typical Evis. I don't know how to say it, y'all. I'm sorry. Please correct me in the comments. Missy. I think he's just going to be a nice backup center in the NBA. As soon as he gets in, run, jump, dunk, block shots. You guys know it. Pelicans could use a guy like that. Awesome pick. Hey, it's Isaiah Collier. We haven't talked about him much recently. Him to the Suns. I kind of just stopped and thought about this for a little bit. If he's going to find any chance of success, it's going to be around vets and stuff like that. So that's not like the worst thing. I've said it from the beginning of the year. I'm like, I just don't really like him as a prospect. Like, I think physically he's incredibly gifted, but how much he struggled to kind of understand the college game, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, if you couldn't figure that out, I don't know how you're going to compete in the NBA. The jump shot's too inconsistent. I think the defense is fine, but the turnovers are scary. I don't know, especially because they're saying you're a lot smaller than you actually were too, and so I'm kind of like, eh. But if he's going to work out anywhere, man, because he does have a lot of physical gifts, why not Phoenix? Shout out Knicks fans just because there's so many of them. Ryan Dunn, I'm glad he's in like first round conversations at this point. I think it makes a lot of sense. Basically OG Anunoby in a way where really good defender, plays well without the basketball, doesn't do a whole ton else. Nice athlete, block shots and stuff. Would make a lot of sense. All right, and Deron Holmes, who's worked his way up into the first round as well. Just interesting prospect. Can do a little bit of everything. Smart basketball player, good around the rim. Has shown some touch from outside, which is cool. There you go, New York Knicks fans. I'd be pretty excited about this if I were you. I wouldn't be surprised if they just keep the picks at this point because I think it's an easy way to fill out their expensive roster. So, yeah, makes some sense. Terrence Shannon Jr. back in the first round. Just wait till you guys see how high I put him on my big board because I've been talking about it this whole season and everything. I think Terrence Shannon Jr. is one of the best players in this class personally, and I could be completely wrong. I remember as a kid, I thought Ben McLemore was going to be that dude, and he kind of reminds me of Ben McLemore in a way. But obviously, he was proven innocent and everything, so good for him. He moves on with his life and everything. I don't think there's really anything this guy like can't do, and he's already got like an NBA skill set from I don't know where he's been developing it and who's been his trainer, because I just don't see that out of the college game very much. But he's got counter moves on counter moves to things, which is something you don't see a lot in younger dudes. So shout out Terrence Shannon Jr., man. I think this guy's incredible. Pacome Daddiette, a guy that we've been saying that was in the second round that should be up in the first round, finally starting to get some first round recognition. Shout out us for pointing that out. We'll see if it actually translates to anything. He's going to be a project. He's young. He's slim right now. Still makes a couple indecisive things at times, but other times he makes really smart moves. Really good shooter. He's like 6'8", 6'9". Yeah, 6'8" here. Really, really young. I think he could develop into a really good 2/3 in the NBA. And why not throw him on Utah, man? Makes some sense. Get some more wings. Typical Baylor Shireman thing. I like Baylor Shireman. Yeah, if you throw him on Utah as well, I think that makes a lot of sense. Tyler Smith. This is who I was looking for. Why is he starting to fall in mocks a little bit? I haven't heard. Yeah, I know Tyler Smith didn't shoot well at the combine, but like, why is he like, I don't understand why. Like, I still watch his game and I see a lot of potential in him. So if the Milwaukee Bucks got him at 33, shit, I think that is a phenomenal pickup. Like, I just look at this guy, and this is one of the higher upside guys I see. They have him listed as like a 4. What is he listed at? 6'9", yeah, 225. I think he could even play the 3 eventually. A lot of times you don't see a guy that's like listed as a 4 that you think could go to a 3. I think that's what you could get out of a Tyler Smith. I just think you have to find the right guys to develop him. I like his game a lot. Can somebody inform me why I live in Minneapolis and like I haven't seen Cam Christie like play at all? There's just like not much film on this dude whatsoever, and he's consistently at the top of the second round. Like, he didn't really do any workouts or combine things or anything. So I understand that his brother's in the league and stuff like that. I just truly haven't seen him play basketball much. I don't know what's going on there. For those of you watching up to this point, do your over-under. Is Justin Edwards actually going to get drafted, or is he going to be a guy that gets picked up on a 2-way? Because why wouldn't you just pick him up on a 2-way? But yeah, leave me your comments on that one. Harrison Ingram's been falling a little bit. I don't know why. I think Harrison Ingram's a nice prospect. Like, I don't think you're going to get anything too crazy out of him, but you're at least getting like a good NBA body, a good defender, a pretty solid motor. Seems like a smart basketball player. Like, I don't know. Oh, is he 6'5" now? See, I hate this about like the recruiting and draft process, man. Why does everyone lie about the height? Like, we don't all have tape measures that we can fucking pull out at some point. Like, he started out at 6'7", now he's all the way down to 6'5". For those of you that don't know, like when I was recruiting, there's a joke that we'd always say, or not necessarily a joke, but there's kind of a trend that always happens. Like, how it always starts is like, I get a tweet from like a high school coach, like, hey coach, I got this like 6'7" like forward for you. And I go, oh, interesting. Okay, let me message you real quick. And then I go click on his highlights and it says like 6'5" like combo or guard/forward. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then I go like look up another YouTube video of him at some point. It's like 6'3" point guard. And by the time he gets to the campus, he's 5'11". That's how it always happens. So whatever, fuck people. Where is he? There he is. Lakers, Bronny James. Just gonna give my spiel as always. I like him as a prospect. I really do. Not just saying that. I think he could develop into a nice NBA player. I think he'll go higher than 55, in all honesty. Do I think LeBron's going to join him? I don't fucking know, man. Why would I even, like, comment on that? I don't know. I'm not in their family. Who knows? Like, I just think Bronny James could develop into a nice player. I see him as a Tyus Trey Jones type, but a little more athletic. So I think with the right development, he could be a good player. And that does it. That's another mock draft, and probably the last mock draft I do before the actual draft itself, which is next week. Can you guys believe it? We're already at the draft, and my Bulls are already doing things. I'm honestly checking my phone right now to make sure that, like, nothing else crazy happens. Dubs offered Clay 2-year deal. Golden State has offer on the table. He wants at least 3 years. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't care. But, yeah, no, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm going to be doing a lot of draft coverage in the coming week and everything, obviously. You guys send me, like, your mock drafts and stuff like that. If you guys want to make stuff on Fanspo and go on Discord and, like, talk about it with me, like, let's do it. Give me some of your sleepers and stuff like that. But otherwise, just remember my new comment policy and everything. And, yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.